Welcome to Caseback Watches, my name is Tim, and in this episode I'm going to present you 5 alternatives for the famous Rolex Datejust. Yes, the Rolex Datejust is one of the most iconic watches on the planet, I think, and we have several reasons why we love it so much. It's a super handsome, good-looking watch. It's very robust, it's very versatile, and this is probably the most important aspect here, that you can take it into the pool or you can take it in a posh restaurant, for example. It's really an all-rounder, and it's by design, a relatively simple watch. Unfortunately, the price over the last, let's say, decades quadrupled from around about 2,000 euros in my case to around 9,000 euros, depends a bit on the model. And of course now people ask, is it reasonable to spend that amount of money for a relatively simple watch? But luckily there are some alternatives, and this video is not about clones, it's not about homages, it's not about copies. I will present you 5 watches here, 5 alternatives from different manufacturers, and they all have their own identity, their own design, their own specs. And I will give you these 5 watches in form of brief hints, but you will find more material here on the channel for every mentioned watch in this video, some really in-depth reviews, okay? And as a bonus, I will present you my own Rolex Datejust from 1986 here in this video, so that you can compare directly all these alternatives with the original. And now let's do it.
The Christopher Ward C63 Sealander automatic is a high quality piece with a case diameter of 36 or 39 millimeters. Elements like the hour hand are way more dominant than on the classic Datejust, more sporty, but they crank down the contrast so that it seems more elegant. I'm focusing here a bit on the brighter dial because they have this wearability. They can stay long time on the wrist without getting tacky, but of course you will find other color options as well there. The strength here is the design, of course, but also its robustness. The Sealander is powered by the Swiss-made Sellita SW201 automatic caliber, so an excellent movement, easy to service, easy to regulate. Like modern Datejust, the watch has a sapphire crystal and a screw-down crown, and the water resistance is indicated with 150 meters. I had numerous watches from Christopher Ward here, also the Sealander, and I can tell you that the quality is there overall. Tiny tolerances and especially well-made dials, indices and hands. Same applies to the bracelets, extremely well made and comfortable. But the Sealander looks also very handsome on a leather strap, especially in a warm brown tone. The watch is not cheap though. The current price depends a bit on strap options and your region, but it will be around the 1K mark in euros and US dollars, so 1,000. But at the end it is sort of a bargain because of the mentioned qualities. With this Longines Spirit 37 you are closer to the classic Datejust look because of the champagne dial and certainly the case form. As the name suggests, we are looking at a case diameter of 37 millimeters and a height of 11.7, which creates a very comfortable timepiece. And again, the quality is convincing. Sapphire crystal, a regular crown, so not screw down, but with a robust water resistance of 100 meters. The automatic Swiss-made caliber is regulated to COSC parameters, so a real chronometer, and it offers a power reserve of staggering 72 hours. Base is the ETA 2892. The Longines Spirit 37 comes with a metal bracelet or leather straps and is very attractive on both. I think if Longines had developed the Datejust back then, this would be the modern edition. But from all watches shown here, it is the most expensive one. Again, price depends on location, customs, currency. In Germany, for example, it goes for 2,750 including VAT, so the US price will be not less than $2,600. And again, I focus here on the champagne dial because of its iconic look, but you will find other color options at Longines and bigger sizes. Here the mission briefing was crystal clear. The New York-based brand Loewe wanted to create something that could replace the classic Datejust in its vintage form. That means we have a rather slender case with a moderate size of 36 millimeters on a metal bracelet. The speciality of the Laurier Astra is the reduced but exquisite design. If you see the watch from a distance, it looks just right, but not really exciting. But closer examinations then will reveal elements like the charming Astra and of course the Laurier logo. And this watch comes with a plexi, like the vintage Datejust, with the typical crisp look. And luckily Laurier has managed to create something only with the vibes of the Datejust, but it's not a copy. Elements like the case form and the crown are very unique, also the generous applied lume. The Astra is with a price tag of $499 affordable, but there are some downsides connected with that low price, of course. First, a Miyota movement instead of a Swiss-made caliber. Don't get me wrong, this movement does the job. My own Astra keeps excellent time, but the feeling is different and imperfections like a tiny misalignment of the date can occur. But this doesn't affect the build quality of case, dial, bracelet. Even manufacturers with a small budget can produce high-quality watches, and the Laurier Astra is an excellent example. And by the way, they deliver also in terms of customer service. My own Astra has this tiny misalignment and is right now in New York for a quick fix free of charge. The Maen Brooklyn from Sweden is way busier than our original, but I wanted to include it here because it transports exactly the spirit of a vintage Rolex Datejust, especially on that Jubilee bracelet. This watch also has the classic case diameter of 36mm and a length lug-to-lug of 46. Height is 12.6, so you have pretty much the dimensions of the original. Very interesting is also that you have a so-called pie pan dial with that step on the outer edge. This combined with a nice sunburst brushing and a set of dolphin hands is clearly inspired by 50s watchmaking. The look is nicely supported by the high domed crystal that looks like a plexi but is in fact a modern sapphire. On this watch we have a triple calendar with month, day and date, way busier than our Datejust, and it requires a pusher in the case and therefore the water resistance is reduced to 50 meters. That's clearly a downside, but the watch is overall so interesting that I find that acceptable. All these complications provided by a Swiss-made caliber would blow up the price for the watch, so they opted for the automatic Miyota 9122. Even with this Japanese movement, the price is around $920 or 850 euros. Rather stiff, but I can tell you from experience that the watch feels outstanding, very luxurious, very well made, and so in my eyes worth the price. The name might be not very exciting, but the watch itself delivers everything you need in the tradition of our Datejust. And you have a lot of options to pick the perfect watch for your individual style because they come in 36 and 38mm case diameter with a lot of colors and options. Despite that, the watch is down to earth. They give you that reduced impression of a beta watch, which might sound strange in connection to a Rolex, but let's not forget, originally the Datejust was designed as a workhorse. So we have very pure indices and hence date on position 6. And by the way, if you want to compare it more with the classic Explorer, then you can opt even for a no date version. What I really like here are the proportions, which I find close to perfection. Look at the dimensions of hands indices compared with the brushed bezel and the screw down crown. The crown itself is a beauty, looks very 60s and goes perfectly fine with that brushed oyster type bracelet. Despite the vintage look, the components are modern. That means sapphire crystal and a scratch-resistant coating on all metal parts, which is a very cool feature for people who want to preserve the look of a brand new watch. The Commuter is waterproof up to 100 meters and is powered by the Miyota 9019. Again, clearly a weaker option than an ETA or Sealander caliber, but we must admit it does the job and it keeps the price down, in this case around 620 euros or $640, which is a pretty good deal. Alright, this was our little tour through some nice alternatives to the Rolex Datejust. Now let's check out the original.
And here you see my Rolex Datejust from the 80s, from 1986 when I recall correctly. And the reference here is 16030, caliber is 3035. And I think the measurements are well known, but to give you the full picture, let's go over them briefly. So we have the classic case diameter here of 36mm. We have a length, a lug-to-lug of 43.5. The height, including the crystal, is 12.5. And the lug width here is 20. And this watch here comes on the original Jubilee bracelet. This was restored some years ago in Norway, so that we have reduced stretch now. It's basically like a new Jubilee bracelet, but of course with the original part, so the stamped clasp and these typical end links here. And I opted for this watch because of several features. First, the dial color. Nothing goes so well with light as this Rolex Datejust. It's just perfect in bright conditions. See that? It's just full of character with the sunburst effect here, the golden indices, the strong contrast to the hands with adds legibility. You find this reference also with other hands, but I really love that. Very legible date, and so really beautiful and handsome dial. And the nice thing is that this reference here comes with a steel bezel. Normally you have their yellow or white gold, and with an older watch you can't see that that's gold. It's soft like chocolate. And so you see huge damages, and here it is intact. I mean, the watch was polished 1 or 2 times, I would say, but not overly dramatic. With an over-polished watch you can see the spring bars here out of the drilled lug holes, but here everything is in place, everything is neat. The crown was replaced by Rolex in Switzerland, I think 2 years ago. Also the crystal, so the watch is waterproof again, and so all nice. And operating it also works fine. They also replaced the thread inside the tube, let's say. And there you go. It's a hackable movement. Feels just great. The date is changing correctly, and so everything really well made with a nice clack. You have a position 1, and with that position 1 you can set the date like that, also with a nice clack. And the watch is super precise. This is also great. It's handsome and it's super precise. It's a chronometer. It works still as a chronometer. You don't have to set the time. You just can wear it over weeks without any need for corrections. And so this is just perfect ensemble for a busy person that can value a handsome piece. All right, and now let's put it on the wrist. And I think you can see exactly what I mean when I say this piece reacts very well to light. This is just a handsome ensemble, and you have all these facets and angles and brushings, and so it's super cool look, and of course it's comfortable as hell. You can wear it over weeks and months and years, and you don't even feel it after a while, so it's just a great watch. Okay, welcome back. I hope you find this informative, and now I'm very curious. Perhaps you have hints and tips and models in mind that could replace, that could substitute a Rolex Datejust. Let us know here in the comments, please, then we can learn something from you. And I would appreciate if you could visit caseback.watches.com, the online shop that keeps everything here afloat, where you find high-end straps made in Germany for all types of watches. There you really get something for your money. All right, that's all for this episode. Thank you very much for your attention, and until next time.